Now, Jennifer McCOURT, you're going to introduce yourself. I've known you for quite a while. Ron and I have worked with you on the Voyageur Cycling Route. Ron's kind of an advisor for Renfrew, and I am for Lanark. And one thing I wanted to mention as well, Louisa talked about the National Cycle Route, and I'm going to blow my own horn here. I lobbied like a crazy man to have that National Cycle Route come out to Carlton Place and then up the OVRT to Renfrew County, because I knew that we want as many people coming as possible. So to be on that National Cycle Route, I think over time we'll see more and more cyclists coming out from Ottawa. Anyways, Jennifer McCourt, she's come a long way from North Bay, and we're really happy to have her here to talk. Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff. Not super comfortable in front of a microphone, but I'll do my best here. It's so great to be back here in Arnprior and the Ottawa Valley. The last time I was here, this picture was taken, and I love this picture. It was part of the Voyageur Cycling Route test riding, and so we had we brought some riders from all over the province to evaluate the route. And I don't know the name of the cafe. I think it's Canada, just outside of Carlton Place. But these three were our road warriors, and to have them stop and sip a coffee, it just makes me smile every time, because they really were, they were so excited to be part of it. It was like winning the lottery. They were able to come for 4 or 5 days and experience what the Ottawa Valley and right from Ottawa had to offer in cycling. So it just makes me smile every time I see that one. Am I going to do this right? There we go. So as Jeff said, I've come from North Bay this morning. I'm the executive director of a very small charity in Northern Ontario called Discovery Routes Trails Organization. We are, like I said, a small charity that promotes the use, preservation, and development of trails and active transportation systems in this vast region that you see here. 1,000+ kilometers of trails. So those trails include water paddling routes and land-based trails. And newer to the roster is the cycling routes that involve on-road cycling. It's 40 communities, 56 separate trail partners, we call them, and the $4 million in funding that we've raised over the years for trail infrastructure is leveraged by what those communities, the municipalities within our network have put into that. So it's leveraged millions more. So it's a proud accomplishment of Discovery Routes. So there's our priorities: connecting communities. That's what we've done with our cycling routes. Connected regions, so Ottawa Valley, out west towards Sudbury. Through the Trans-Canada Trail, we connect to the south, and we also connect people. So that's an important part of what we do, inspiring health and well-being through trail use and cycling, promoting safe, responsible, and equitable access to trails, and then, of course, supporting the local economy, which we've heard so much about that, and how cycle tourists and trail tourists support the local economy. I just wanted to quickly make acknowledgement of these trails that we promote, that we celebrate, are on the traditional territories of the Anishinaabe people, who were the original land stewards. So I always like to add that we work closely with our Indigenous partners when we are developing these routes. And so I just wanted to. So the Voyageur Cycling Route, quick background, how Discovery Routes got involved with cycle tourism and what brought us here. It was back in 2013 when the first whisperings of a long-distance cycling route, the province-wide cycling network. The folks up in Mattawa region, they were left off the Trans-Canada Trail. They did not want to get left off of the province-wide cycling network, so Discovery Routes was invited to a stakeholder meeting, much like this one, and the concept was initiated and we got some funding to do a feasibility study. So in 2015, we did a feasibility study. That funding came from FedNor, which, if you know the Federal Economic Development Agency, it is for Northern Ontario. So we weren't allowed to go anywhere south of Deep River with our feasibility study. So it was Sudbury to Deep River. We were making the connection. In 2016, we did that test ride, not the one that you see up there, that came later, but the test ride of the route to just evaluate it, make sure that we had really found the right routing. And then in 2017, we got route endorsement from the municipalities. We're in a district, not a county, so we had 25 municipalities that we had to make presentations to and have the route endorsed. It's a combination of roads, so municipal roads, provincial highways, and then trails, off-road trails as well. So all pieced together. It's about 320 kilometers in the north. And then in 2017, I believe Ron attended one of our initial meetings for the Northeast in Mattawa, and he was been involved right from that very beginning, saying, let's see what we can do in the east. We've got this whole eastern expansion. We've got the connection to Quebec here in the east. We have connection to the National Capital Region. So here were my hosts, Ron and Jeff and Chris, when we did a little bit of an evaluation of the route. And then in 2019, we did the mobile workshop once we had identified the route out of Ottawa into Carleton Place, up along the Ottawa Valley Recreational Trail. And at that time, the OVRT was still just under beginning development, just the beginnings of getting the development done. So just talking to Anthony here from Renfrew County, you've made so much incredible progress since 2019. Lots of those sections are open. We don't follow the OVRT in its entirety. We hop off just north of Armprior onto roadways, onto county roads, and then back onto well, Highway 17 for now. I'll show you a map in a minute. But still a lot of advocacy work to do with MTO and this section through the north end of Renfrew County to get us up into Mattawa and the north. So that's what we're continuing to make these physical connections, and there's the route. So you can see that it overlaps with the Trans-Canada Trail. The yellow line is the Trans-Canada Trail. So at Ottawa out to Carleton Place, and then again back North Bay. That's Lake Nipissing up there. I hope you can see those community names, but North Bay is kind of in the center, and Ottawa to the east and Sudbury to the west. We have connections with the Great Lakes Waterfront Trail in the west, so that's our national province-wide cycling network and the national cycling network with the connections to route routes as well. In 2018, we commissioned Louisa and Ontario by Bike to do a marketing strategy for the entire length of the route, and what the strategy did was it identified gaps in the market readiness, actions to develop the cycling market, and then the promotional tactics to grow awareness and attract cycling tourists. So it's a fantastic document. It's available for download at that link on our site, discoverroutes.ca. I also brought a copy over on the table. There's a few of the reports also over on the table if you want to take a look at them, if you're still a paper person like me and like to flip through. But you can also look at it online. So I thought it would be worthwhile to tell you some of, in our experience with developing the cyclotourism destination, and from the market readiness perspective, the challenges that we encountered and then some of the solutions that we came up with. So if you know Northern Ontario, it's very rural, very remote. There are not, the communities are spaced apart, much like the northern end of Renfrew County, and they're not the services for cyclists there. So we did install these bike fix stands, bike fix stations, and trailhead signage approximately 30 to 50 kilometers apart. not necessarily to that 30 kilometer, but maybe closer to 50 kilometers. But it was a solution that would have basic services for cyclists. And then business outreach, that's a tough one. It's a vast region, but a lot of those small communities, every single one of them has an auto mechanic, a hardware store, a general store, and they can be having a few supplies for cyclists, having the bike fix kits there, the different services that a cyclist would appreciate. And then you need to communicate that that's where cyclists can stop. So a couple of the things that we came up with. Wayfinding discrepancies between jurisdictions. Was it you, Andy, that was asking about signs? So our solution to that, again, Voyageur Cycling Route is on municipal highway with municipal sign standards, provincial highway with provincial signage standards. So we prepared a trail-wide guidelines for signs, and this is the trail, the Cape Paceway is our paved trail through North Bay. So they have their own local identity, and the local identity always came before comes before the designation of the Voyageur Cycling Route, and in this case the Trans-Canada Trail as well. So we developed that sign standard. An answer to the problem, no, not a solution necessarily, but at least some guidelines that jurisdictions can follow. The challenge, long stretches of Highway 17 where there's no alternative this is not a picture of Highway 17. This is in the Ottawa Valley, which I believe now has paved shoulders because there's a county policy, maybe, for paved shoulders. So beautiful view of the Ottawa River Valley there. But Highway 17, as anybody who's gone north of Deep River knows, it's a steep, lots of treacherous riding conditions with very few paved shoulders, if no paved shoulders. So we continue to advocate with the MTO to put in paved shoulders as construction cycles come through, but we're also hoping and working with Renfrew County and then our neighbors at Papineau Cameron, which is the north end of the Ottawa Valley Recreational Trail, to have that alternative in the future at some point. So we've created itineraries on those market-ready sections, and I'm going to show you a couple of the itineraries that we've developed. So they're loops that don't take in Highway 17. All of our mapping, all of our signage says Highway 17 is hazardous, and it directs people off of Highway 17 in loops. So on and off the Voyageur Cycling Route and into the communities in the areas that we want to celebrate. So we've developed Voyageur Cycling Route experiences. That's what the itineraries are called. We've developed web pages for each of these experiences, the mapping, descriptions, identifying where those supports for cyclists are, where the bike fix stands are, where the little community shops are, where they can get some supports. There's trip sheets that you can download, accommodations, attractions, and they're all themed itineraries. So here's an example of one of them. The Spirit of the Bay is, it's based on the arts and culture of the North Bay and region. It is a trail and low traffic roads. That was part of what the Ontario by Bike Tour just this past August followed some of our Spirit of the Bay route. So things like cycling through a secret garden, roll along Lake Nipissing's vibrant waterfront, taking a performance on the shores of Lake Nipissing. So we have a beautiful band shell at the waterfront in Lake Nipissing, and they do Tuesday nights jam nights, and they have poetry readings, and so that's all promoted as part of the Spirit of the Bay. And then the farmers market, when the farmers market's in the various communities, this one in particular is on Saturdays and Wednesdays, so we promote that as part of the itinerary. We have a rented tour, which is gravel road, and aren't we lucky that gravel roads or gravel bikes have become so, there's so much demand for gravel routes, and a part of our Voyageur Cycling Route is gravel roads, and this one, it really celebrates our history, the Indigenous past and the Voyageurs. So we're also celebrating the other activities, so the multi-adventure approach, where you can paddle in a replica Voyageur canoe at Mattawa Provincial, or at Samuel de Champlain Provincial Park, and they've just installed a bike fix stand as well, so they're bicycle friendly. So just finding those unique experiences and tying them to your cycling is what we've done here. Grind the North, so we also do the mountain biking, so we're in rugged Northern Ontario, tons of fantastic mountain biking opportunities, and so mountain bikers like their beer, they like their dips in the lakes, so we've marked out the public access points to the lakes and where all of the local breweries are on these ones. Ride Winter, we had a discussion about fat biking, so we are also, it's another Voyageur Cycling Route experience to come north and experience the trails in the winter. No need to put your bike away. So we have a number of other itineraries or experiences on our website. So again, discoveryroutes.ca, and you'll find them there. And then just building awareness. How do we let people know to come north, to come east, to come and cycle in our communities? So we collaborate with our local clubs and groups to create events and festivals, and we've seen such great success in the last couple of years as the pandemic is lifting and people are really eager to get out and gather again. We've had just in the last 2 years these incredible events come. So we were host to the Ontario by Bike North Bay and Lakes tour just in August. We had a Ride for Jack. It was a fundraising ride for fat biking in the winter. The mountain bike exchange, if anybody doesn't know about that, that's phenomenal. They had 100 women in North Bay on the weekend that they go from community to community. It's a membership-based program, and they want to ride. So North Bay Mountain Bike Association has hosted that exchange a number of times. The Ghost Gravel was a gravel ride that did not unfortunately happen this summer, but it was on it's the old Nipissing Ghost Road, middle of nowhere. You'd never know that that it was there, but these cyclists were looking for that type of an adventure, and it was sold out in its second year. And then we just had a Voyageur 200. That's a 200-kilometer gravel race that had its inaugural ride race this weekend. So it's going to only just grow, and we know that we've got something special, and you are all part of that. And then just sharing our stories. So we do through Ontario by Bike some of the offerings that they have. We've done blogs and in fact articles on the line. The newsletter. We're in the Ontario Cycling in Ontario guide. We've written blogs for northernontario.travel, which is our regional destination in Northern Ontario's RTO. And then Explore Magazine, we've done some content for them as well. So just sharing the stories is how you can really spread the word. They're big networks, as you know. Cyclists are networks, and to be able to just access those networks is really key. That's the end. There's my contact information, the website discoveryroutes.ca, and follow us on Facebook.
So questions for Jennifer? Yes, Ron?
Jennifer and I go back for a number of years together on the Voyageur Cycling Route. And I must say that McCOURT, Ottawa Valley Cycling and Active Transportation Alliance share the information on your events on our Facebook page. So everybody's welcome to join us on our Facebook page and watch what's going on with our friends in North Bay.
Anyone else? Yes, Fish.
Yeah, I don't think I need a mic up
No.
on stage.
Our major.
I just want to thank Jennifer for what she's done, and I want to point out the effect that 1 or 2 or 3 people can have. Jennifer, just by getting involved and staying involved, has made an enormous difference. I also want to point at that guy in yellow, Ron Moss, because I don't think without Ron that we would have the Algonquin Trail in Renfrew County. I don't think Renfrew County would have got on board without Ron. It only takes a few people. I could point at that guy too. It only takes a few people to make things happen. So thank you all.
Any other questions? Yes, Kim. Oh, I thought you had your hand.
I did, but so did she. She's closer.
That's just Louisa. She can win.
Sorry, am I loud enough? Yes. Okay, excellent. I'm delighted to see all of this. This is a two-part question. In the promotion of tours and of routes, are we clear, and does there exist a route anywhere that doesn't include motorized vehicles? And whether it's ATVs or whether it's snowmobiles, do we have routes in the county where you don't have to compete with two-stroke engines?
There are maybe a few sections of mountain biking trails I can think of, like Borka Track. Borka Track is not motorized. And, yeah.
Not so much. I haven't seen like action or like other than like the paved shoulder, it's still like.
I know for the routes that we promote in Renfrew County, they're predominantly road cycling routes. And then they do cross onto the Ottawa Valley Recreation Trail, which is a multi-use trail. And then we do promote like some of the specific mountain biking sections, like the Borka Track and things like that. But most of our cycling here that we promote is mostly road cycling, so you're sharing the road.
Yeah. My partner used to live in Westboro. He's now living in Arnprior. We could cycle from his condo in Westboro to Carlton Place, and we did so regularly. And we dropped a load of cash, and I get that we need to emphasize dropping money. But we would drive into Ottawa to cycle that because we didn't have to compete with motorized vehicles. I've been run off the road here, or run off the trail by motorcycles. I've been bumped off my bike by ATVs. I've popped tires because I've fallen and gotten into ruts caused by ATVs, or you've got pit run gravel as opposed to stone dust. It's an unpleasant experience. I love cycling. I've cycled in other countries. It's phenomenal. It's very difficult here to find routes of any distance where you're not competing with motorized vehicles. And maybe I'm a minority. Maybe I should just suck it up and be more aggressive out there and not get run off the road. But in a competition with a two-stroke engine, I lose. And I know I've done it twice.
Thanks, Kim. I think that there are competing interests on our trails, and we have to make note of that. People always hold up Holland as a place to cycle, and I cycle in Europe, and there are times when I'd be cycling in Holland, and I'd get blown by a scooter, a gas-powered scooter that's going by me. So even some of the nirvana places, you still have to be careful as a cyclist, but it's certainly something. I'm glad that there are people here from the county.
Yeah.
I lobbied long and hard in the early days when Lanark County was looking at purchasing with the County of Lanark what became the OVRT Algonquin Trail, and I lost that battle, as did we all. So that said, we're in the room today because we want to show those guys that you're further ahead to invest in this than you are, and with climate change, like I could get on my soapbox. I think that from an economic standpoint, by doing what we're doing here today, we can really show the powers that be how important these resources are as active transportation resources. So this gentleman said something, and I just wanted to catch what you said, Ed.
Oh, I was just saying that, yeah, most of the trail, all of the county trails are shared, motorized, and then the paved shoulders would be the motorized.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Hi, Andrew.
Thank you. Sorry, Kim, I just want to know, there is the recreation trail that runs from Canal, Buryside, Armpart, or Renfrew. That one, it's 24 kilometers. It does definitely need some grading throughout various areas, but that is one where there's no motorized vehicles.
And I'm aware of that trail, and so even if you go end to end, you've got 48 kilometers.
Yeah.
If we went West Road to Carlton Place, we get an 80K
You get a lot
ride.
more, yeah.
It would be helpful for the sake of our report to mention those assets on this wall so that we can include it in the report, and in a couple of years' time, hopefully that number of non-motorized trails will have increased. Kim, you going to follow up?
I was just going to say, and not to say thanks for that, but it's not enough, but thanks for that. We need to recognize that little bit of trail is important, and it's being used, and it's a good thing. And let's build on it.
Right on. This gentleman over here from Prescott, Russell, that I don't hear from.
Yeah, so,
Here.
just to say, you're more than welcome to come to Prescott Russell. We've got 72 kilometers of dedicated trails. In the winter, though, if you do have a fat bike, you will have to go besides snowmobiles. But in the summer season, it's all yours. You might have to run into a couple runners and walkers, but it's dedicated trails. So, and we're working with the City of Ottawa's got a portion of that trail together. They got 26 kilometers of what they call the Prescott Russell Link. And again, we're working with our friends in Vigo and beyond to make it all the way to be the highway between Ottawa and Montreal. So, and we've applied to become part of the Trans-Canada Trail. We should hopefully get our answer in the next month or so. So there are some, and I live in Westboro too, so we're working with the city to link the existing city trails to the Prescott Russell Link and the Prescott Russell Trail. But at least if you want to get some mileage, you get 144 kilometers there back, where you only have to cross a few streets. So welcome to Prescott Russell.
And what I wanted to emphasize was that it's not multi-use, but that it is
Yeah,
for
so
active
there's no
transportation.
ATVs. It is multi-purpose for runners, walkers, and whatnot, but no motorized, no horses, just
Ian, could you speak to the opportunity that's this Beachburg Trail, I think you were talking about, a railway?
I can say that the City of Ottawa has purchased that rail line out to Morris Island, but development of that pathway, we're looking at competing opportunities. A multi-use pathway is probably the preferred use of that former railway, but there are interests in also using it for commuters as well.
Great. Thank you. Bob?
Just I want to bring us back to a quick reality check here. We have the trails that we have, and while they're not perfect, I'm completely in sympathy with you. That motorcycle never should have even been on there, so maybe one of the things we need is better enforcement of the rules in our trails. But I'm all about moving forward with what we have, and when we move forward with some of our discussions later on today, let's not get hung up on the fact that we have multi-use trails. We've got good trails, and I think let's find out the best way to capitalize on them and to cash into cycle tourism on them. The more we make cycle tourism part of the economy, the more important it becomes to the people that oversee and create the trails for us. So just keep that in mind as we go forward.
Here, here.
Okay, I have a little gift for Jennifer, and it's the same gift that we gave Louisa, and it'll be the same gift that we give to Brenda, but I wanted to let you know what's in it. So thank you, Jennifer. In your bag is an OBTA cycle maps, roadmap, Secret natural skincare product, hummingbird chocolate from Alma, Madawaska coffee, Snark coffee, that's our friend who just stood up, an etched wine goblet, and Debbie at the registration desk made 3, and I wish she'd made more because I would have bought one. And there's some Whitewater Candy Company stuff, and a little thank you note that was an art piece from, I'm forgetting her name, from Alma. She's a good friend of mine, Jill McCoven. So thank you. Enjoy it.